April 1558, Topkapi Palace. An imperial physician enters the private chambers of the most powerful woman in the Ottoman Empire. What he finds makes him tremble. Hurrem Sultan, the slave who became empress, lies motionless. But it's not death that shocks him. It's what she clutches in her hand, a single piece of parchment. If discovered, it destroys the Ottoman dynasty. That document vanished that night, and with it the true story of how Hurrem Sultan died. You know Hurrem from Magnificent Century, the rebellious slave who seduced the most powerful sultan in history. Forget that version. What you're about to discover will shatter everything. Because the real Hurrem was darker, more brilliant, more tragic than any TV show dared to portray. The official story says, illness, natural causes, it's a lie. And the proof sat buried in Ottoman archives for over 4 centuries. In the next few minutes, you'll discover exactly what happened in those final 3 days. The ring she wore, the pact she made, the choice that still haunts historians today. This isn't romance, this is the price of absolute power. 1520, Imperial Harem, Istanbul. A 15-year-old girl, real name, probably Alexandra Lisovska, is about to beat impossible odds. Kidnapped from Ukraine, sold in Crimean slave markets, purchased for Sultan Suleiman's harem. Here's what she faced: 300 women, all beautiful, all educated in music, poetry, conversation. Only one becomes the Sultan's favourite. Her chances basically zero. But while other girls wept, Alexandra calculated. She noticed something everyone else missed. The young Sultan Suleiman, just 26, newly crowned, was bored. Bored by beauty. Bored by submission. Bored by women who only said yes. He read Persian poetry, wrote love verses, craved a mind that could match his. So that first night, Alexandra did the unthinkable. She told him no, not rejection, a tease, just enough to make him laugh, to make him curious, to make him come back. She told Ukrainian folktales, mocked his poetry, debated Islamic philosophy with him. Hurrem didn't seduce Suleiman with beauty. She won by being the only person in that palace who treated him like a man instead of a god. In an empire where everyone trembled before the Sultan, she challenged him. Suleiman fell completely, utterly in love. 1 year later, pregnant. 3 years later, 3 sons. And that's when the real game began. Because in the Ottoman system, children weren't children. They were weapons. Each son a potential sultan, each daughter a political alliance. Hurrem understood this better than anyone who had ever lived. 1533, the impossible marriage. For the first time in 300 years, an Ottoman sultan officially marries a concubine. Think about what that means. Hurrem shattered the empire's most sacred law: slaves cannot become sultanas. Ever. That law existed to stop one woman from seizing catastrophic power through her children. Hurrem found the loophole anyway. 6 children with Suleiman. 6 when protocol allowed each concubine one. Every time advisors protested, she had the perfect shield. Suleiman's obsessive love made her untouchable. But here's the real genius. She didn't just seduce him, she became indispensable. Over 400 letters between them survived. They discussed military campaigns, treaty negotiations, provincial appointments. Suleiman found what every powerful man craves and almost never finds: an equal. In 1533, he married her. The court exploded, the empire reeled. But in an absolute monarchy, the sultan's word is law. Then came the master stroke, 1534. Hurrem moves out of the harem into apartments beside the sultan's private chambers. Sounds minor, it was revolutionary. The harem was built to keep women away from power. Hurrem tore that wall down. For the first time in Ottoman history, a woman stood at the empire's nerve center, where wars were planned, treaties signed, executions ordered. She wasn't waiting to be summoned anymore. She was always there. Every conversation, every secret, every decision. And anyone who threatened her started dying. Ibrahim Pasha, Grand Vizier, the empire's second most powerful man. More than that, Suleiman's childhood friend, his brother in everything but blood. The Sultan called him brother of my heart. Ibrahim controlled the military, the bureaucracy, foreign policy, and he saw exactly what Hurrem was doing, taking the Sultan's mind piece by piece. So Ibrahim made his move. He pushed Suleiman toward new concubines, tried to dilute Hurrem's grip. It was the last mistake he ever made. March 15th, 1536. Ibrahim dines with Suleiman in the palace. They laugh, they reminisce about childhood. They share wine like brothers. A perfect night. Warm, intimate. Ibrahim retires to his chambers, the same rooms he'd slept in for 15 years. By morning, his body is found. Strangled. The official charge, high treason. Venetian ambassadors, who track the court's every move, tell a darker story, or Hurrem placed the evidence in Suleiman's hands herself. Letters, secret communications with Persia, witnesses who claimed they heard him plotting the throne. Almost certainly fabricated, but Suleiman believed it, or needed to, because choosing between your oldest friend and the woman you love is not a choice at all. He chose Hurrem. Ibrahim died, and the message tore through every corridor of the palace. Cross Hurrem Sultan, and even a lifetime of brotherhood with the Sultan will not save you. One threat remained, the deadliest of them all. Prince Mustafa, Suleiman's son from his first marriage, handsome, brilliant, a born commander, worshipped by the Janissary corps. Foreign ambassadors sang his praises. The people already saw him as the empire's future, better than Hurrem's sons in every way that mattered. And that was the death sentence. Ottoman law demanded fratricide at succession. Few sultan executed every rival, brothers, half-brothers, nephews. Not cruelty. Survival, the only way to stop a civil war from tearing the empire apart. If Mustafa took the throne, Hurrem's 5 children died. No exceptions. So Hurrem faced one brutal equation: watch her sons executed, or destroy Mustafa first. She chose to destroy him. It took years, slowly, methodically, poisoning Suleiman's mind, one whisper at a time. The army loves Mustafa too much, dangerously much. The Janissaries speak of him like he's already sultan. Those letters from Persia, addressed to Mustafa. Strange, don't you think? Each seed tiny, almost invisible. But year after year, the doubt hardened into suspicion. 1553. The Persian campaign. Suleiman summons Mustafa to the imperial command tent. Just a routine meeting. Or so it looks. Mustafa steps inside. Mute executioners are already waiting. He knows instantly. He fights back, but he's unarmed. No prince ever carried a weapon before the Sultan. They strangle him with a silk cord. The royal method. Suleiman watches. Protocol demands it. Mustafa was 38 years old. Hurrem's children were finally safe. The succession was locked in. But the cost was brutal. The army nearly mutinied. The people mourned for months. And Suleiman. Historians agree he was never the same man again. Now watch what happens to Hurrem. After Mustafa's execution, something inside her broke. She was 49. She had absolute power. Her children were safe. It should have been triumph. Instead, she started to unravel. Her letters to Suleiman, hundreds of them, preserved in the archives, turned dark, obsessively religious, consumed by death and judgment. She wrote about nightmares, premonitions, shadows watching her. Faces she couldn't unsee, Ibrahim's, Mustafa's, all of them. 1 year before her death, Hurrem writes to her daughter, Mirima. The letter is haunting. My daughter, when I close my eyes, I see every face. Ibrahim, Mustafa, all those who had to fall so you and your brothers could survive. They asked me one question. Was it worth it? I have no answer. This wasn't grief. This was collapse. The weight of everything she had done, finally crushing her. She poured herself into charity, mosques, hospitals, schools. The Haseki Hurrem Sultan complex still stands in Istanbul today, as if every building could erase one death, one betrayal, One manipulation. Then 1558 arrives. Suleiman leaves for another military campaign. He's 64. He refuses to stop. Hurrem stays behind in Istanbul, alone, in the palace she built stone by stone. But before he leaves, Suleiman asks her one question about Mustafa. And in that instant, Hurrem knows. He's starting to suspect, starting to dig. The truth is surfacing, and there's no stopping it. April 1558, the final 3 days. Official Ottoman chronicles say almost nothing. One word: illness. Venetian intelligence tells a different story entirely. 3 days before her death, deep in the night, Hurrem secretly summons Mihrimah. She hands over documents, letters, decades of evidence. Her words survive in Venetian records. If I die, burn everything, leave nothing, protect your brothers. What was in those documents? Evidence tying her to Ibrahim's execution, correspondence with secret allies, proof of exactly how she controlled Suleiman for 30 years. We'll never know the full contents. Mihrimah burned them that same night. 2 days before, Hurrem stops eating, refuses everything from the imperial kitchens. She takes only water brought by Mihrimah's own hand. Sit with that detail. It means one of two things. She feared poison, or she was preparing her own. April 18th, 1558. Evening. Hurrem summons her physicians. What they find is bizarre. She's conscious, fully lucid, but her body is failing fast. The symptoms, recorded in the palace archives, are the unmistakable signature of arsenic poisoning. Violent vomiting, agonizing abdominal pain, convulsions, skin turning ash grey. But nobody poisoned her. Guards swear no one entered her chambers. Mihrimah swears the water was clean. The food tasters showed nothing. The servants were fine. So what happened? Hold that question, because what comes next changes everything. The palace chief physician left behind a notation, written in his own medical shorthand, dated the day after Hurrem died. Decoded, it reveals the truth. The Sultana had been collecting a substance for months. Hidden inside a ring she wore constantly, enough for 3 doses. She took one every night, for 3 consecutive nights. By the time anyone understood what she'd done, it was already too late to save her. Hurrem Sultan took her own life. Deliberately, methodically, over 3 nights, with arsenic she had gathered from the very poisons used to destroy her enemies for decades. The ring, a gift from Suleiman himself, held a hidden compartment. Inside it, death. But why? She had won everything. Her children were safe. Selim would inherit the throne. She stood at the absolute summit of power. Why choose this? The answer is as brilliant as it is devastating. 1 month after Hurrem's death, Mihrimah writes to her brother, Selim. That letter survives, and it explains everything. Their mother knew. When their father returned from campaign, he would uncover it all. The letters, the alliances, the network she had built in his absence. He had been asking questions about Mustafa. Specific questions, pointed questions, and he would never forgive her for it. But he would forgive her children. That's why she did what she did. Now you see it. Hurrem understood Suleiman was closing in on the truth about Mustafa's execution. Someone, an old advisor, a surviving enemy, was feeding him doubts, planting evidence. The truth was rising to the surface, and nothing could stop it. If Suleiman discovered how completely she had controlled him, he could exile her sons, rewrite the succession, execute Selim, install a different heir, erase everything she'd built. So Hurrem made her final calculation. Die before he returns. Die from illness. Take every secret into the grave. Leave her children as innocent victims, not accomplices. Because here is the truth at the center of it all. A sultan can rage at a dead wife. He cannot punish children for their mother's sins. It was her final sacrifice, her final move on the board. Even in death, she was protecting her children. Even choosing how to die was a chess move. April 20th, 1558. Midnight. Hurrem's funeral broke every rule of imperial protocol. A woman of her stature should have received days of public mourning, lying in state, official ceremony. Instead, she was buried at night, in haste. Only Meerima, her brothers, and a handful of trusted servants stood there. Why the rush? The chief physician told Meerima the truth. If other doctors examined the body, if anyone started asking questions, the suicide would be exposed. And in Islam, taking your own life is among the gravest sins. It would shame the entire family. Brand her sons as children of a sinner. Strip them of the throne. So Meerima did exactly what her mother had taught her. She took control. The documents were burned. The body buried immediately. Physician silence for good. The official story locked in. Natural death from illness. The secret was buried with her for 465 years. When Suleiman returned a month later and learned Hurrem was dead, he shattered. Chronicles describe him weeping for days, refusing food, calling her name in his sleep. He commissioned the Haseki Hurrem Mosque, one of Istanbul's most beautiful buildings, still standing today. He never remarried, never took another concubine. He died 8 years later, in 1566, still devoted to her memory. But here's the final, crushing irony. Selim, Hurrem's son, the one she gave everything to protect, became sultan exactly as planned. And he was a disaster. Weak, alcoholic, utterly uninterested in ruling. History remembers him as Selim the Sot, the only Ottoman sultan remembered mainly for drinking wine. Meanwhile, Mustafa, the brilliant prince she destroyed to get here, would almost certainly have been one of the greatest sultans in Ottoman history. He could have expanded the empire, strengthened it for centuries. Instead, under Selim, the Ottoman Empire began its long, slow decline. Every death, every manipulation, her own life, all of it spent to put a mediocre drunk on the throne. That is the cruelest irony history has to offer. So here is the truth about Hurrem Sultan. She didn't die of illness, she chose death, slowly poisoning herself over 3 nights, with arsenic hidden in a ring, to protect her children, to preserve her legacy, to bury her secrets forever. Was she victim or villain? She was both, and neither. A kidnapped slave who became an empress, a mother who destroyed her stepson to save her own children, a strategist who ruled an empire from the shadows for 40 years, and a woman finally crushed by the weight of everything she'd done. Hurrem's story isn't a lesson about power corrupting you. It's a lesson about what power actually costs. Every victory carries a hidden price. Sometimes you win everything and lose yourself completely. Hurrem conquered the most powerful empire on earth, and she lost her humanity taking it. She reached the absolute summit of power, but she could never outrun the shadows of everyone she destroyed to get there. That April night in 1558, with poison tearing through her body, Meerima holding her hand, she faced the same question she wrote in that letter. Was it worth it? She looked at her children's faces, thought of the throne they would inherit, and swallowed her final dose. We will never know her answer, but her real story, not the television fantasy, teaches us something we can't ignore. Power always demands payment. The higher you climb, the more it costs you. Hurrem Sultan paid until her very last breath. If this story hit you the way it hit me the first time I found it, hit subscribe right now. Because Hurrem wasn't the only woman who played this deadly game inside the Ottoman palace. Her daughter-in-law, Nurbanu Sultan, went further, much further. What she orchestrated to secure her son's throne makes Hurrem look merciful by comparison. The largest royal fratricide in human history, 19 princes, all sons of the same sultan, all executed in a single night on one mother's command. If you'd like me to cover that story too, just comment yes below. If enough of you want it, I'll make a full video on it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.